Hello everyone, this is Mrtrree, and today I have a treat for you. Today I'm going to analyze a cast I did the other day between U2Q and Zen Method. And if you haven't seen this game, I'll leave a link down in the description below. It's actually really cool, and there are some interesting points to this game I'd like to point out. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. Okay, so let's speed things up a little bit. So at the start of the game, everything was pretty standard. Neither side really invaded the other's jungle. We did get a ward from Zen Method into U2Q's jungle, but nothing too big. So let's go ahead and times 8 speed this one. Okay, so now there's one key thing almost everyone should know. It's very standard, very simple. It's to ward. Okay, warding is one of the most important things to do. And I'll show you why right here. Here's a very key example here in just a moment. So, yada yada yada. Kha'Zix comes to gank middle. It's okay, batted away just fine. Yorick doesn't know that Ev's there quite yet. But, once again, this shouldn't be an issue. They're pretty close to the turret, so he just backs off. No problem. Now, the key part, which really a ward would have been handy, is Kha'Zix is coming around into Ev's jungle. Just taking wraiths, and it's kind of looking for Ev and trying to get ready for a gank on her. Okay, Ev goes mid, realizes she's not going to be able to make much happen. Morgana's already backing off, so Ev backs off as well. Kha'Zix sees this and is coming down. However, Shen is as well. No one knows that Kha'Zix is sitting there right now. But since Yorick didn't have this warded, this scenario is what happens. You have Ev, Shen, and Jace all surrounding Morgana and Kha'Zix, and Kha'Zix is caught by this because of no vision, which gave Zen Method first blood and the lead for most of the game. Alright, so that's that. It's pretty standard for the most part, all the way up till about the 6-minute mark, which we'll hurry up and speed up to. Okay, right here is another key point. This is a point where I noticed that Yorick went Chalice. Okay, I'm thinking Chalice on Yorick, okay, that's kind of interesting. Most people go Tear for the mana, but whatever. So this was actually a really smart idea, because later on what he uses it for is for the fact that mirror mana being changed in this season, being a new item and everything, it makes it so a percentage of your current mana gets done in physical damage. So the more mana you have, the more damage you do. Well, the lower your mana gets, it's really quick to burn through mana as Yorick, and having mirror mana as well. So this ends up working out really well. It actually ends up working so well. Let's see if I can skip ahead here and find a good point. So I think right here is a good example. Okay, Yorick's back in base. And if we actually look, let's speed up here so it gets his mana back. Okay, if we actually look at how much damage it does, right now he's got his Frozen Fist, which is pretty standard. He's got his Mirror Mana, which is once again pretty standard. And he's got his Chalice. Now what this is going to end up doing is together ends up being equating out to, I don't think that's updated yet. 1 second. There we go. It's equating out to 142 damage every time he attacks. So that is really awesome. It's really cool because the fact that the less mana he'll have, the more he regens based off of Chalice. So it ends up meshing really well. Also, blue buff, of course, helps too. So that was one really cool thing I thought was done in this game. Another thing I would like to point out is if you notice, Shen right now has a Rylaze, Nashir's Tooth, and a Banner of Command with Haunting Guys. Wait, what? So I kind of looked into this too, which was another very interesting thing. So let me back up here down to, I think it's about 13-minute mark. Okay, so 13-minute mark, that's about where Shen got his banner. Now, how this ends up panning out for his banner is all the way up here is a very good example as well for it. It should be 30 minutes. Got it written down here somewhere. There we go. Okay, so if you actually look right here, Shen has used it for the promote ability, so he can split push without even having to be in lane. So when a fight does break out, he can go ahead and help out wherever he wants as normal, but allows better split pushing potential. Now, the reason he went AP, and this was a very ingenious way to initiate a fight. Normally you have initiates like a Moo or Morgana or Karthus, someone that can just get in there and do some damage or just kind of drag everyone on top of him. Shen can do that to an extent, but on a short range taunt, which if everyone stays out of range of him, it's very hard to initiate without flash. However, this was very ingenious what they did here. They actually used Evelyn for this. Okay, now if we keep an eye on Evelyn, right here. So Evelyn's going to go in here in just a moment. Evelyn goes in, gets Shen ulted for that humongous shield with her ult, plus the Shen ult allows her to get this huge shield and ends up letting her soak a whole bunch of damage. Now the reason this didn't work out for her was because a lot of the damage from U2Q is physical. Between Kha'Zix and Caitlyn and Yorick, that's a bit of physical damage. There's some magical there, but most of it is physical. And all Evelyn was sitting with at the time was a Negatron cloak, and that was all defensive items. It had no resistances whatsoever. So having that big shield and stuff really didn't amount to much, not having resistances with it. So what I think really would have helped her would be in having Azonia's Hourglass. Having that little bit of armor would have really helped her survive in those fights a bit more and be a better initiator. But I thought that was really ingenious way of setting it up, where Shen would ult onto Ev, where Ev can get nice and close real early, get perfect positioning due to her stealth, and allow her to do that. Very cool. But as you can see, this fight doesn't quite pan out the way you would expect on those circumstances. And this does allow U2Q to be able to push an inhibitor for this push. So those were a few really cool parts I thought was kind of cool little strategies, what people did for items, builds, and stuff like that. Now some of the things that really threw this game into U2Q's favor eventually, or that took away the advantage from Zen Method, had to be a couple points I'll show you here in just a second. So first of all, remember guys, never ever chase. Okay? Don't ever chase. No matter what you think, no matter how easy you think it is, or how safe you feel, just don't chase. It makes everyone's life easier. So if you watch here, they see Yorick down here in the bottom, right in their jungle. They know where he's at. They're going to come at him here in a second once Ev finds him. Ev finds him, starts slowing him. Okay, cool. You know, she's in pretty good shape right now. Okay, Yorick's getting some distance. This right here, she shouldn't have burnt flash, and she should have just backed away. The reason being, they don't know what U2Q is. They don't know where they're at. And this ends up biting them in the rear here in just a moment. So as Ev's chasing Yorick, you know, having a time of her life, gets ulted by Shen. Shen comes in. Shen does an amazing job flashing over the snare. However, all of U2Q's there, runs in there, and they just start dying one at a time. Ev's trying to run away. Jace can't get away. Shen already died. And U2Q manages to push out, and they actually take the middle inhibitor once again based off this. Okay? Another good thing, don't get over eager for Baron. Another key thing, never get over eager for Baron. Okay, so right here, we have Draven over at Baron. Yorick's sitting down here. This has been right after a team fight. There's 4 members of U2Q down and 3 members of Zen Method up. So you think, okay, that's cool. You know, they won that fight. Awesome. Keep your advantage. Don't waste it. Don't get over eager. Don't try to be greedy. Just take your advantage and slowly build your way up. See, this is where Draven's starting to do Baron. Right now, U2Q has it pinked. They should know what's pinked at this point of the game. However, they try to do this anyways. Draven gets very low, and Yorick comes up and tries to stop this. And ends up causing them to lose the attempt they could have had on Baron if Shen would come down, and also pick up the kill on Jace, and almost pick up the kill on Draven as well. If Yorick would have ulted right there, Draven probably would have fallen down as well. Alright, so those were kind of the interesting mechanics I thought happened in this game. Now throughout the game, it was really good. It was really close, back and forth, I guess. Zen Method just constantly kept working up an advantage throughout the whole game. However, they really didn't have a strong initiate. And I really think that's what bit them in the butt later on. And that could have been fixed if Evelyn would have had more armor, or if Shen would have been built more tanky. I mean, Shen really didn't have a lot of tank either, so they really didn't have anyone that could soak the damage from U2Q, on top of the fact that their initiate, even though very, very interesting, was kind of weak due to the fact they didn't have any kind of assassins to burst down the carries, and they didn't have any kind of tank to be able to soak the damage from the carries either. So it ended up causing a lot of issues for him. Alright, and one more thing about this game. This game ended up panning out into U2Q's favor at the very end, and it came down to this clutch fight. There are a couple things that happened in here. If you actually watch Caitlyn accidentally uses her ability in the wrong direction and ends up being caught out of position. However, I believe Jace gets caught out too and gets burst down very quick. So Jace managed to go down. Caitlyn, however, had Guardian's Angels, which allowed her to survive this fight, and the ult from Morgana right here was perfect. There wasn't anything much better than you can get right there, and it ended up giving U2Q a couple extra kills there, and it allowed them to be able to push into the Nexus and win the game. It was really well done. I just feel like Zen Method just threw the game away, kind of based off their strat, and not doing it quite effectively as they should have. I mean, like, if Evelyn would have had some armor, it would have been better. If Shen would have built tankier, probably would have been better. And if they would have maybe an assassin or something to be able to handle those carries a little bit easier, it would have been better. Evelyn's just not as good as an assassin as she used to be back in the day. And that's my analysis for the game. I'm Mrtrree, and I'll catch you all later.